Right, hi everyone. I thought today I would show you how to make kimchi, which if you don't know is like sauerkraut's spicy cousin. It's really popular in Korea. I mean, everyone eats kimchi over there. It's traditionally pretty spicy stuff. I'm not good with spice, so my version is not as spicy. The ingredients that you need to make kimchi are a napa cabbage, which is totally different to a standard white cabbage that you need for sauerkraut. Napa cabbage is also known as Chinese leaves, and it's quite a soft kind of leafy cabbage. And this is a fast ferment, so that's the kind of cabbage that you want to use. So you can get them, most of them in supermarkets, Chinese supermarkets, Asian supermarkets usually have them. So I've got a napa cabbage, we have a daikon radish, which I've actually peeled and chopped. Again, you can get in Asian supermarkets as they usually have them. It's a big radish. If you can't find a daikon radish, it's also known as a muli, you can use the wee normal wee red radishes, they work as well. Then we've got some carrots, 2 or 3 carrots, an onion, just chopped, red onion, white onion is fine. Then we've got ginger and garlic, and the most important thing is your chilli, which is what obviously makes kimchi spicy. This is the proper Korean red chilli powder, which is really nice. It's almost like, it looks like paprika. It gives it a really nice colour. It's really nice and dark. If you can't find that, I had to buy this online. It's quite difficult to get. What you can do is you can just use crushed chillies instead. And again, these are quite hot, and I just use about a tablespoon of them. So again, what you can do when you make it yourself at home, if you're not good with spice, then you can just cut back on the amount of chilli that you use. All the ingredients are all stellar ingredients for your health. Garlic's like nature's antibiotic, onions great for fighting infection, ginger great anti-inflammatory, all of the veg are all full of fibre, polyphenols, vitamins, all sorts of cool stuff. Chilli is really good for your circulation, gets your circulation going. The other thing that I add to my kimchi, now this is a vegan version, and I know most people think, well, is kimchi not vegan? A lot of the traditional kimchi has fish sauce in it, and which makes it smell horrible for a start, because it smells quite bad as it is, so you really don't want to be adding the fish. So what I do with my version is I add some tamari, which is a fermented soy sauce, and I add some seaweed flakes. Either Mara seaweed flakes are fantastic, they're produced in Scotland, or I use the Clear Spring Green Nori, and that adds a wee bit of the kind of almost seaweedy sort of fish sort of flavour. So what I'm going to do, and obviously salt, yeah, we need to add some salt for the to get the fermentation started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop my cabbage, I'm going to grate the daikon and the carrots, and I'm just going to use a zester to zest my ginger and the garlic so that it's nice and fine. I'm going to chop my onion up, and then once I've done all of that, I'll be putting it all in the bowl. That's all my Chinese leaves chopped up. I've grated my carrot and daikon in my food processor. I have used my zester. I've got about a tablespoon of zested ginger, tablespoon of zested garlic in my bowl. So that's all the main ingredients, and my onion as well. So that's all in my bowl. What I'm going to do now is just to add the other ingredients. What I was going to say as well is traditionally kimchi has a pre-brining step. So what happens is you pre-soak the cabbage overnight in really salty water, and then you rinse it all out the next day, and then what you do is you make a paste with your chilli, ginger and garlic, and then what you do is you massage the paste into the cabbage. That's the traditional way to do it. It's a bit more of a faff because you've got an additional pre-brining step. So what I do is to try and make everything as simple as it can be without detracting from the flavour or the nutritional value of anything. So the way I do it is just everything just gets mixed in the bowl at the same time. I don't make a paste either, I just add all the other ingredients and just mix it all in. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of my seaweed flakes. I'll put one, and again these are just rough amounts. You can add more or less according to your own preference. But again, seaweed's great because it's absolutely packed full of minerals. I'll add the Mara seaweed. This one is the furikake one, which is also great. It's actually got sesame seeds and it's got chilli in it as well. I've just remembered, I forgot, I also add sesame seeds to this, which I don't have here, so I'll have to go off and get them. So I'm just going to add some of the Mara one as well. As I say, they're a great Scottish company to support. Right, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add what I'm going to do for this version is I'm going to add the actual powder. It's actually not that hot. It tells you in the back how hot it is. It's not that hot, so I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons. You can see it's lovely. It's actually dried red chillies. Again, some people add up to 5 tablespoons of that. It just depends how hot you like it. Our family is totally divided when it comes to heat. Half of us can't do chilli at all and the other half like really spicy stuff. So I've added a couple of tablespoons, and again, you don't need to necessarily get this, although this is the actual sort of proper one to use. You can just use crushed chilies as well. And they work just as well. So what I do if I don't have the proper powder, I just use about a tablespoon of crushed chilies. And again, you just try it, and if it's spicy enough for you, then that's fine. If not, you can add more. You can also add more ginger, you can add more garlic. It's just guidelines, that's all it is, but it's a good starting point of a recipe. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add about a tablespoon of tamari. Again, not essential, but I like to add it for a wee bit of extra flavour, about a tablespoon. I'm also going to add a tablespoon of just sugar, just to balance up, because the daikon radish is quite bitter, and it just gives a wee bit of balance to the flavours. There's so much good stuff going on in here anyway. A wee tablespoon of sugar is not going to do you any harm at all. So a wee bit of sugar, and then I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of salt. Any natural salt will do, not table salt. This is just a Himalayan pink salt, but any natural sea salt will do. So 2 teaspoons of salt going in there. And I just have to add a tablespoon of my sesame seeds, and that's all the ingredients. So just to recap, we've got our Chinese leaves cabbage, we've got carrot, we've got daikon, we've got onion, we've got chilli, ginger, garlic, we've got a bit of tamari sauce, a wee bit of sugar just to balance the flavours, and we've got some pink Himalayan sea salt. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to give that a good mix. I'm going to put some gloves on because I've got a lot of sort of chilli and stuff. I've got really sensitive skin. I'm going to put some gloves on, give that a good mix. I'm then going to leave it for 30 minutes just for the salt to start to pull the water out of the vegetables, and we'll have a lovely brine. And then what we're going to do is just to pack it into a jar. So I'm going to mix this up. Get my gloves. Again, as I say, the way to do this traditionally is to make a paste and just massage the cabbage with that, but all I'm going to do is just mix everything in. You can see all the beautiful colours in it. Every single ingredient in here has got major benefits for your health. So I'm just going to give it a wee bit of a mix to get the salt and everything through it. Right, so I've left, this is all our kimchi mixture. I've left it with a tea towel for actually just about 10 minutes to be honest. And again, if you see, it's already started to look really nice and juicy, and we've got all that lovely brine and liquid coming out, which is going to preserve it when we pack it all into the jar. So it really doesn't take that long, to be honest. Napa cabbage is actually quite juicy, as are carrots and daikon radish, so it really doesn't take that long to get your brine. What you want to do at this stage is try it and see if you think you could do with a bit more heat in it. If you want it more spicy, then just add more chilli, either more chilli flakes or more chilli powder. If you want to add more ginger, add it, just try it. As I say, I'm a total chilli wimp, but 2 tablespoons. That tastes really nice to me. It's got a wee hit of spice, but not that much. Actually, what I'll do is I'll put a wee bit of the crushed chilies in as well. So again, as I say, you just adapt it to, yeah, well, actually I can feel the heat now. I shouldn't have added the extra That's quite hot. Right, so there we have our mixture. So what we're going to do next is we need a glass jar, and we're going to pack it. Right, so final step is we're going to pack all of our lovely spicy kimchi into a glass jar. Right, I use these clip top jars. You can buy them in all the supermarkets, and these work really well for fermenting anything. Asda have them, Sainsbury's, IKEA, everywhere has them, so these are actually really useful things to have. And you can just keep them, clip them shut, and that keeps the oxygen out. When you're fermenting anything, any vegetables, you don't want oxygen to be in. It's an anaerobic process, so you want to keep oxygen out. So what you want to do is to start to pack your kimchi mixture into your jar and squash it right in as far as you can to get rid of any oxygen, any air. Now the size of your jar actually is quite important, because you don't want to have a great big jar and have a half full of kimchi, nor do you want a jar full right to the top. You need to leave a bit of a gap, because what will happen is this will start bubbling and you'll get carbon dioxide produced, and some of the brine will start to sort of be displaced. So you want to make sure you've got a wee bit of a space. Now if I press that down, you can see all the... And the nice thing about using the actual chilli powder is it gives it a nice colour. If you just use the chilli flakes, you don't tend to get that nice orange kind of colour. So I'm thinking probably 2 jars this size will be absolutely perfect for that amount. I'm not going to try and cram it all in one. And again, what you want to do is to leave a bit of a gap. We'll put a wee bit more, and I've got all this left. I'm going to do 2 jars, so this will do 2 jars of kimchi. So what you want to do is you can give one to someone as a nice wee gift. So again, if you can see, that's all quite squashed underneath there. So this will actually, and that's what I've got left, so that will be enough to do 2 jars of kimchi. So what I'm going to do is just push that right down so that we've got the brine. The wee mantra for fermenting things is under the brine and all is fine. So we've got that packed to about there, which is just about perfect amount. What I'm going to do now is to put a wee Ziploc bag, and I know everyone doesn't want to use plastic, but it's actually quite a useful way for keeping everything down underneath the brine. This is a really quick ferment. It's literally 3 to 5 days at room temperature, and then you can take the plastic bag out and you put it in the fridge, and it will continue to mature in the fridge. So it's a really fast ferment, and it's one that's really, you can use it with anything. We have kimchi, I make kimchi pancakes, kimchi crackers, all sorts of things, and you can have it with salad, you can have it as a side. The other thing that's handy is these wee glass goo pots. If you can see that, what you can do is stick that in the top, that pushes everything down, then you can clip your jar shut. If you've got a cabbage leaf or something, you can stick that in the top with a wee jar if you don't want to use a plastic bag. But if you can see, that's totally clipped shut now. There's no oxygen in it. I've filled it to about here, and we've left a wee gap, so that's just brine in there. What will happen when I leave that at room temperature, it will start to bubble up a wee bit, which just shows that the fermentation is proceeding normally. So put a wee bowl underneath it, put it somewhere in your kitchen where you can keep an eye on it. It does smell a wee bit, but it's only for a few days, and the health benefits are absolutely worth it, and the kimchi just tastes great as well. So that's a really simple kimchi that you can make yourself at home, and the recipe will be included in the description of the video. So if you see a napa cabbage in the supermarket, buy it and make yourself some kimchi.